Hello, it's JD, and welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be doing the first episode of the Star Trek Project. I love Star Trek, and when I found out that Netflix had all of the episodes, I was excited. And so, I'm starting off with the original series. In this episode, it is Season 1, Episode 1, The Man Trap. In this episode, the Enterprise crew goes to planet M113 to give an annual health checkup to the planet's only two residents, Professor Robert Crater and his wife, Nancy Crater. However, there's a bit of a mystery going on with this planet, and Nancy Crater turns out to be an old flame of Dr. McCoy's. One of the first things that was apparent with this episode was that this is the remastered version with all of the new CG. It looks really good, actually. I do like it a lot. The old version, of course, looks a little clunky. It looks cheap, really. But the new one looks nice. I like it a lot. But with that said, I haven't actually seen this episode in many years. However, I remember it extremely well. I've probably seen this episode more than 10 times. As I watched it after school every day. Well, not this episode, but I watched Star Trek after school every day when I was in junior high and high school. And I absolutely loved it. The original series has this nostalgic feeling for me, and I always love going back to it. Even if the acting is not always that great, that's okay. It's still a lot of fun. Since this is the first episode of the series, or the first official episode of the series, you'd think it would give some kind of introduction to the cast. But really, it looks like we're just being dropped right in the middle of a series. There's no real introduction. It's as if they assume we know everyone. It's kind of unique in the Star Trek universe. All the other series had an introductory episode, but this one didn't. There are some notable missing cast members, one of them being Scotty. He's introduced pretty shortly though. Also, Chekhov is missing, but he doesn't come in until, I believe, the second season. Also, Nurse Chapel isn't there. However, I was really surprised because Yeoman Janice Rand features prominently in this episode. And others, like, of course, Kirk, McCoy, and Spock are center. Also, we have Uhura and Sulu. The interaction between Uhura and Spock was very interesting early on in the episode. It made me think that J.J. Abrams had this idea that those two should be together. Because in this episode, it looked as if Uhura was actually coming on to Spock. And he would have none of it. And throughout this episode, the sexism was so blatant, especially when all of the crew members were looking at Rand. And it was just ridiculous. It was kind of uncomfortable. To me, it just seemed very unnatural. This is the 23rd century. Are people still acting like that? I don't think so. Another thing I noticed with any female characters is whenever they had a close-up, their image was really fuzzy. It's as if they're trying to soften them up. Being the 23rd century, you would expect technology would be pretty advanced. But of course, this is made in the 60s. All of the consoles were covered with buttons, actually very colorfully lit up buttons. Also, Dr. McCoy was using a tongue depressor. I had no idea they'd still be using that. But I do remember that McCoy once said he's just a country doctor. He likes the old-fashioned techniques. Also, in Next Generation they have these handheld computers, very much like a tablet computer called pads. Now, Spock was holding one that's kind of similar, however, he's using a stylus. I thought that was interesting, seeing that. How did I feel about this episode? For a first episode, I thought it was quite weak. It's not the best episode to start off a new TV series. while I enjoyed watching it, when I was a kid, I never really looked forward to seeing this episode. So when I came home after school and saw it on TV, I thought, this one again? Yeah, it's probably one of the weaker episodes, in my opinion. However, if I was to put this on a 5-point scale, I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. Tell me what you thought of this episode. So please leave a comment below the video. And if you like the video, please click on thumbs up and please subscribe. If you want to watch the next episode, then click up here. And if you want to see the playlist, you can click right down here. All right, thank you for watching the video. Live long and prosper.